I'm wondering if you could describe some of the main ways that climate comes along and adds additional problems to these communities who are sitting in a semi-arid, very hot region, what some people would call a climate change hotspot, highly vulnerable. So yeah, what are the big stresses from a climate point of view?
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned earlier, these farmers, their livelihoods are dependent on what they produce in their crop fields and also from their livestock. So what they do is whatever they produce, they will not sell. It's mainly for own consumption, but what they have left, they keep as sort of like money or an asset.
So it's like an insurance.
Yeah, like an insurance. So they store that and they keep it in case a need arises. Then they can sell a little bit of their crops, or they can sell their livestock to get money to cover for whatever need arises. For example, if there is death in the family, or they need to send a child to school, for any need that they have, they are able to sell, and then they get money in order to cover for that. So now if you take like drought, for example, which leads to crop failure, so that means that they are not able to produce enough already for their house, for their consumption, but also for keeping as insurance. Their livestock also dies, so which means that there is a reduction of in terms of their wealth, because they look at livestock as wealth. So all that then leads to them not being able to contribute meaningfully to either improving their well-being or just being able to assist themselves. So as a result, these communities become very dependent on government to give them, first of all, drought relief, which is what they receive as like bags of maize meal, so food already just for consumption. But also government gives them a pension grant, which is money for elders over the age of 60. So that has also been quite helpful. Whether we can call it that they are dependent or not, it's really a decision for us to make, because most of these households will go for days without food.
And how does that then affect the sort of things like children or whatever?
Yes, definitely. So particularly when there is crop failure, then they'll tell you that there is hunger. So how does this hunger affect children? They say, okay, when we send our children to school, we need to give them something to eat. So when there is nothing to eat, the children cannot concentrate. Some children will drop out of school, but also they when there is hunger within a certain household, they will send their children away into households that are probably doing better.
Really? So it's kind of like a community safety net almost.
Yes.
At least for the children.
Yes, it is.
But it is quite a desperate situation if that's what people have to resort to, that they can't even feed their own children. So when something like that happens, I mean, how do the household heads feel? Is there sort of are there psychological sort of dimensions of if you like, negative impact in these situations as well, or is it purely more physical, if you like?
No, it's also very psychological, in a sense that they become so disturbed. So if there is some, for example, a community meeting where this person needs to meaningfully contribute in that meeting, they will not do so, because they are just thinking about their children going hungry. So it sort of does have that effect, where people just get withdrawn from the whole situation, and they just sort of they just get to themselves, and they don't want to even participate or talk to others because they are going hungry.
So it seems, so just to finish off here then, I mean, we've got a really interesting intersection of historic factors that lead to, if you like, a low, it's a funny word to use, but low development status, if you like. So people aren't achieving their potential or reaching their aspirations. And then climate change or climate risks already keep knocking them back. And then who knows? I mean, we think some of the projections say that some of those factors that are already knocking people back will become more extreme and more frequent in the future. So it looks like climate change itself will then almost start to reinforce and become a stronger influence on these the difficulty in achieving people's aspirations in this area. Would you sort of agree with that summary? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So most of all these social issues and the way they also link up to these climate risks, they all contribute. And the challenge is just that even for these communities, as much as they know that there is a problem in, like, drought is becoming more frequent, there is flooding, and things are becoming even more difficult. The challenge is they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get out of this situation. So government and these communities really need to come together and to come up with something that so that they get out of this situation where they find themselves.
So they're kind of stuck, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we have to find some way to kind of get them out of this stuckness that they're in.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Irene, I think we should stop there. But thanks very much. That was a wonderful little sort of vignette of what life is really like on the ground.
Thank you, Mark.